Right. Firstly, welcome to this first meeting of the Town Centre events of this current year after the mayor making and the election of the new mayor. First item on the agenda is item 1, election of the chair. Andy?
I propose Councillor Robin Susby for chair.
Okay, one on this side now. It's a marvellous choice. I'll take this.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for that enthusiasm. I hope to live up to it, and you always know that you can criticise me throughout the meetings, and it doesn't really.
Gosh, if there's anybody else first.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Well, is anybody else? No, okay, right. As you started already.
Do we have to take it to a vote?
No. Right, okay. We'll take that as read then. Item 2 then, election of vice chair proposals. Councillor Murray.
I propose Councillor Fran Davis.
Councillor Donovan.
I'd like to second that.
Any others?
Carried.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Okay, right. In which case, we'll move on to apologies. And who have we got apologies for absence?
From Councillor Gately and Councillor Shaver.
Yeah, okay, we accept those apologies. We agreed?
Yep.
Declarations of interest. There's nothing on the agenda of controversy. Anybody got any interest which aren't already declared in their code of conduct? The meeting we all declare now, but I don't think there will be in this. With the committee's agreement, can I propose we suspend standing orders to allow Councillor Mordew to address the meeting, because he has another meeting to go to very shortly.
Sure.
It's important that he gets there.
Agreed.
Yeah, lovely.
Agreed.
Thank you very much, for Chairman.
Robin's fine.
I'm here really on behalf of the Fringe Association, and I want to do one is a request. As you know, we've got the Bulls evening coming up on the Friday 15th of July, and we'd like to use the electric again from the box at the end and the power cable that runs with it. The person that's doing the PA this time has got his own PA system, so we won't need to borrow the town council's. I just thought, well, I've got something else come up. As I was coming here, I'd just like to, I need the key and I need the real cable reel, if that's okay.
From the chair, I don't think that's an issue. Deputy Land Clerk, we can facilitate that, can't we? Can I leave that you're with the office and what's the date of it?
15th of July.
Friday the 15th.
Friday the 15th of July.
7 o'clock?
Just check it's the right date. So I'm doing it from memory.
Is that the 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
Are the rules the same?
Yeah, they're the same.
No,
Unless you want to play.
no overarm, isn't it? No overarm, that's right. Yeah, so, no bats, that's right.
Everything else is the same. We've got a barbecue there.
Yeah.
We have drinks by donation. We've got sound there. We've got fewer straw bells, but we've got some wooden sleepers.
Yeah.
To line it. Getting straw bells is very difficult. Small ones you can handle these days.
Who's donating the sand this year?
Sorry?
Have you got the sand? Who's donating that?
Have we got
Sand.
Yeah, bill base.
Yeah, and then they'll come and get
We
it.
hope. And the thing is that they deliver it on the Friday afternoon, and we spread it, and we have to sweep it all up, and they pick it up either on a Saturday or on a Monday.
I mean, can we agree through the Deputy Town Clerk? We'll send out a note to the councils. Not every council will know about it, and it is quite a nice evening.
It's an excellent
walking around drinking a grop of wine.
I was just going to say, because it's on a Friday night, the sand will have to be gone before the Saturday morning because of the flea market.
Yeah, that's all right. stand up to hear from the 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
because it's on a Friday night,
Yeah.
the sound will need to be gone before the Saturday morning because of the flea.
Yeah, we clear it up Friday night.
Okay.
So it'll all be gone, just put it back in the bags. As I say, bill base, they collect it probably on the Saturday morning, or more likely they collect it on Monday, but it'll be in the bulk bags.
Okay. Sorry.
Technically, it's run under licence from the town council. So we put it down to town council.
Event.
See where you going with that?
Just so you know.
We agreed it several years ago that we'd do it under licence.
There is a reason why.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, I thought it'd best start come and address the events committee rather than hear it on Facebook. There's 5 of us going to Italy next week, end of next week, to a town called Valpamera, which is on the shore of Lake Como. We're not looking at a formal twinning event, probably at any time. And we may get as far as a friendship agreement. But we've had this with Poland and it came to nothing. So that's why we don't make a big thing of it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to cost the events committee or town council anything. But what a friendship agreement does, you get people who can go over there and they've got a contact within, if they want to go to Italy. And we've been invited to an event out there. So there's 5 of us going. And it enables schools, if they're doing Italian, we can make contacts with schools out there, and they can go, or choir, or any organisation really. In my case, the speciality is wine and cheese. It's not the reason why.
Which order?
Sorry?
Which order, Howard?
Oh, I think that's a very unfair question. No, it's
Cheesy question.
a nice town. As I say, it's on the shores of Lake Como. A lot of people probably touch their right hand to go there. It does look very nice.
Well, it's a long time since we had anything to do with Rome. It was about 1600
Nowhere near
years
Rome.
ago. 1600 years ago we had to do with Italy.
Yeah.
So what have the Romans done for
Well,
us?
Howard said there's 5 going. Is that you?
No.
It is on the same. I will be there when the interim town council. So if I can get sufficient Wi-Fi, I might try and log in and show you around.
That'd be nice.
In 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Make us all
That'd be
envious.
lovely.
Yeah. But, no, I know you all feel very sorry for me for having to give
Yeah,
up.
we are really.
Italy, but
You know,
no, don't worry about it. I will cope.
we'll make a collection for you.
I think we've got an egg cup, haven't we?
Anyway,
You had the Buckingham bags, the market bags.
Yeah.
There was a thing about where you take photos of it.
yeah.
And I've got one.
I did.
That's it. One.
Oh.
All right. Well, can you send us something back? And
Well, certainly do send something back.
yeah.
So, if I feel it's worthwhile, and I think it will be, but you just don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your
Do you
time.
need an assistant with you at all?
Well, I can put your name on the list. No, it's a nice friend of town.
I haven't been to Italy for years.
Yeah, no,
And
good luck with that.
speak English
Yeah,
as well.
excellent. Yeah,
My Italian is gone.
Well,
that'd be good.
thank you for making us all envious.
No, that's right. The real reason is what I didn't want. People have it posting things on Facebook, and they could post something, and you say, well, how come we haven't been told?
Yeah. Well, we'll
So
be
just
Yeah.
make you aware.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Right, next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Sharp.
Enjoy your next meeting, Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robin.
Take care. Well, as we follow that,
Standing orders back, I think.
yeah, standing orders back, thank you very much. Right, in which case, simple question, minutes of the last meeting, are members content with those minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we agree them as a record?
Yes. Agreed.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. In which case, we'll do an action list. I'll give you a little while to look at that. Is there anything you wish to raise on the action list? All self-explanatory, but just bobbing past is not the answer.
Glad that trophy's on there, number 4. I won't say it out loud because he tends to watch.
Yeah. That's ongoing. So we have an update on that item 4 when it's if we can, please.
I know you've been looking around, but you ordered it.
No, I haven't ordered it yet. It'll get ordered in the next week or so, 'cause it's not
Lovely.
judged until August.
Nice.
Once it's done, can we send the committee just what it is, what it looks like,
Yes.
so that they know and see it in advance?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
thanks.
think
Can
we
you-
don't.
Yeah. Can you let me know what engraving is on something?
Good question. Suggestions from the floor maybe, or can we do that by email? Members happy? We're not mentioning it because the name on the cup clearly. If members have got suggestions what they think should go on it, can we?
Well, could it not just have Buckingham and Bloom and then the trophy, the name trophy, second?
Yeah.
Simple.
So Buckingham and Bloom, the councillor.
Yeah.
Is that members agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite simple. I was going to suggest them.
Yeah.
Simple, easy peasy.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Item 5, we've ongoing. I mean, at some point we need to push it on because that's been, well, it hasn't happened, has it? It's been.
Got a meeting coming up, haven't we?
Is there a meeting coming up?
Yeah.
Can I leave members to push that at the meeting
Yeah, definitely.
and come back with some
Sure.
suggestions on where we're going to do that? Item 6 is on the agenda. Item 7 we're done. And the others are on the agenda.
Are you happy for someone to come off?
7, what, platinum?
Amanda can add it to her learning log for next year.
Well, yeah, there's nothing we need to do apart from we'll put it in next year to do organise an event. Really.
It's on Amanda's.
Well, in which case,
Yeah.
let's take it off. We probably could have done that, yes, but let's agree to take it off.
Did number 8 come off?
8 can come off, can't it?
Yeah.
8, yes, that can come off. The access thing's ongoing, we need to. Can we try to bring something back for the next meeting on where we're going with that?
What was that?
The access,
Damaging the town.
going to the town. We were waiting for a response, do you remember? Because we discussed the fact that so many people are tripping over the town,
Yeah.
that we've got so many trip hazards and the town sort of basically decaying. And we agreed that we'd write, and then we were waiting for the response, which clearly we haven't had a response.
Not okay.
Are we agreed then, if we don't get a response by the next agenda, that we do a press release about not getting a response and our concerns about the town? Is that agreed?
That sounds like.
Rather than, and can I mean, are we happy that we'll do a joint committee thing on it, like we'll all agree to go up to the town and stand in various places looking at various problems?
I won't promise because I might not be okay on the day, but play that by ear.
Well, we don't need to do it all in one day, do we?
No.
We can just do, councils go to their favourite trip
If you're
hazard in
out.
the town. And their favourite places they receive the most complaints about. And the particular councils could be there, we could do a sort of mock collage. Would you be up for that, Sue? Find your favourite trip hazard in the town and stand by it for a photograph.
We could actually open it up to the wider public to actually report all these things.
Well, we could put it on
Could be
Facebook. and ask them
inundated, it could be
if they want to.
inundated though, if we did
Well,
that.
we could do it and then.
But it would
afterwards-
show how much people are not happy about it,
Well,
the state of it, of things.
it's so embarrassing when you get people come up to you and say, I fell over, and you ask them, did you report it? And they say, oh, I didn't get around to it because I was too busy going to A&E or the doctors or something.
Right.
And they're all old, elderly people, and we're just not good enough, is it? So if we agree that we'll do something, Susan,
The last time I picked up a lady off the road, she'd fallen on the highway coming out of the car park, and I think you'll find that's Buckinghamshire County Council's.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a big chunk out of the concrete.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be addressed, and we run, the town is not as it was 20 years, 10 years ago, it's deteriorating. We want people to come to Buckingham, trade in Buckingham, support our shops, and the unfinished paving and stuff isn't very good. So if we're happy to do it as a collective, that will, if we haven't had a response down by, and even if we had a response, we'll send the response to the committee members for commentary if it's not satisfactory, and then we'll do a press release based on the response and our concerns. Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you. We could include access for all, because they are out and about and they know the trip hazards like the back of their hand.
I'm sure I can think of one or two people who may come up to join us. And on that.
Like you said, it doesn't have to be on the same day. They could be out and mark it
and catalogue, and then we'll send it as a press release with all these people by their particular concerns, and including access for all, and with some sort of correspondence around, you know, this is our town, we love it, could you repair it? That sort of basis, because we waited long enough now. I think we've had 2 meetings since then. Of course,
I think, to be fair, this is the first meeting since the correspondence.
Is it? I apologise. Yeah. But I mean, we can't let it drift past the next meeting, really, because otherwise we won't be taking the situation seriously enough. You will be aware that the community board are on their last community board agenda. Those who were able to attend, they're thinking of spending quite a lot of money on a feasibility study to do something with the town. Well, this might help them. A feasibility study, what they might need to do with the town is repair it. But let's do that then, and I think Amanda and Claire will come back to us either with the response when it comes in, which we'll discuss, and then we'll book a various times. You can take the photographs yourselves and just send them in if necessary, or
oh yeah, I thought that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Take our own.
Yeah.
Because if we sent a load of photos, the advertiser's not going to print the photos, but they might do the press release.
Yeah, but I think it'd be quite interesting.
But we'll have social media, wouldn't we?
Yeah, and then we'll write an article and with some commentary from the members and committee. So it's not like one person saying I'm annoyed. It's the committee saying they're annoyed. I don't think it's sustainable with one person. Right, thank you for that.
So just to clarify, Rob, you want us to bring that report back either with the response or a report explaining there hasn't been a response and what tracing that we've done.
Yeah, but if we haven't had a letter by the next committee meeting, which is by the time we set the agenda, we will be doing a press release anyway, which officers will guide us on the wording of, and but I want it to be committee inclusive, because one person saying I've got a fault with the road isn't very convincing. And we are a committee, and it's town centre is our area, and it's deteriorating. It's deteriorating. Thank you. Right, which is access. The next one, clarify the concerns. Have you clarified those, Andy?
Number 11.
Number 11.
Can we leave that with you?
Yeah.
Can we leave that with you? Is that all right?
Well, it was really the Buckinghamshire Council to tell me what was agreed with GigaClear, whether to reinstate the pavements back. So that's where we
The
need.
confirmation we've had is that is the agreement, they should go back. There was a slight problem in that freshly laid tarmac obviously looks new and crisp compared to old tarmac, so it will take a little while to weather in, but they are supposed to return it like for like.
That's not what. Yes, I know that, but there shouldn't be any ridges on it, which is also a trip hazard. That was what my concern was. If you can lay a new tarmac, but if it's lower than the previous one, then it becomes a trip hazard. And that's the only thing I was really concerned about.
Yeah.
And in some places they haven't, like on Page Hill, they haven't done that properly, and I know they're going to go back and do it. But in Burley Beach, they have done a good job. but I'm not so sure.
No.
When it starts to sink in, the tarmac does.
Yeah, it settles in, doesn't it?
It's not town centre, but you will notice since they put, I don't think it may have been GigaClear, as you go up to Tesco's where they've done that work in the road, those where the actual trenching is, it's already fallen and breaking up through the traffic because the road was set as one piece and now it's been broken. So now the actual crust is broken. They've got a trench in it and it's heavily used past the roundabout by Lace Hill, and that's breaking up. I have mentioned it on one or two occasions, but I think we're going to see a lot of this and therefore.
Yeah, the reason I bring on Burley Peace is because of the school, Bolton Meadow Academy, and there are all these little people running around, when they come up, and they have really dug up the whole pavement all the way through, and that's my concern because little people really have little feet, and even a small thing is a trip hazard.
Can I suggest that we don't, because we're going to be doing the town centre, that with the committee's agreement, we make a recommendation to the Environment Committee to monitor the GigaClear within the estates, based on what Councillor Murray says about the unlevel services, so that if they got a bigger coverage than we have, and I think with us doing this town centre thing and them doing the town, that'd be right.
Well, I agree with what Andy says on that one, because the Page Hill, I think it was Boswell Court. I went over to go and see, and it's quite a dangerous place up there. There has been already people fallen over. An elderly gentleman has fallen over, and it's quite a.
That's exactly the one I was thinking about.
So to get the wording how it's agreed, then are we agreed that we recommend to the Environment Committee that they monitor the GigaClear work within the estates? Frank?
I was just wondering if anybody has actually reported it to via Fix My Street or anything like that, that it's GigaClear works, which is obviously failed. I think more people that report something like that through Fix My Street.
We have got the winter coming up, and as Councillor Murray says, if you've got dips, water sinks in dips, and then you get ice balls, don't you? And then it one person down in hospital injured isn't going to be good for any family. So so the wording is right. Are you happy with the wording that we recommend to the Environment Committee that the committee monitors the work for GigaClears for I don't know, what's the wording, something like viability and future resilience, to see whether there's any it deteriorates, so that we can bring it up while they're still in the town, or they can come back.
Well, they're still in town.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is okay, Claire?
Is that simple? Is that simple enough? Anything else, it will just be complex, won't it? Well, thank you for that. Thank you for the bits on the action list and support on the other item, budgets, which you've got. Lisa.
Thank you. I had a question. Let me just scoot down.
Yeah, far away.
So it's to do with the next item, but it's to do with the budgets. So with the Art Trail project, it says that a budget's been agreed, and it's 667-21.
Yeah. The
Buckingham Villages Community Board has awarded the requested funding, and it was £1,000 funding. And then in our budgets, we've got on page 9 of 47, 4273 one-off events. We've got a £1,035 there.
Yeah.
And then we've also got on page 7 of 47, we've got 9066 Swan Sculpture Project. We've got 1,474 there. And then a little bit down, the next highlighted down, 9072 one-off events, £1,000 there. So what £1,000 is it from our budgets that's the Swan sculpture project? Is it the one that's named? If I can ask through you, Chair, for the Deputy Town Clerk.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
The 9066,
Yeah.
the Swan Sculpture Project, we would be looking to keep that to run the Swan Sculpture Project. So that would be money left over or raised last year from the sale of the swans. So we would like to still keep that to run the Swans project. That the one-off events is because we didn't have a one-off event one year, so we do have money for lost it now.
Okay, so we've still got that banked, so it's 9072 one-off events. So that's not being touched, so still banked for one-off, okay. And then what about?
This year's one-off events budget we're looking to use to do the alternative trail.
Okay, and then the on page 947, the 4273, that one-off events, £1,035. What's that one?
Yeah, sorry, that's the one that we would be looking to use for the trail this year. That this year's one-off events, because we've got nothing else that we're planning to use that money for.
But then we're using that for the alternative trail. So then the £1,000 that you said was going to be the alternative trail, what were you doing with that money?
What, the one in the earmark reserves?
The 9072, the one on page 7.
I think we'll be able to pay that one this time.
Right, okay, so that's definitely banked. Swan Sculpture Project is staying for the Swan Sculpture Project. So we've got 1,474. So is that the money that's come from the community board, 1,000?
No, that's additional. So I don't actually have the full figures in my head, but it's something like £6,000 it's going to cost us to run the Swan, slightly more than that, to do the full Swan Trail, which is going to be a combination of what's been given us by the community board, the 1,400 left over or raised from the sale of last year's swans,
Okay.
and some business deals that we're going to get to come in and we're going to sponsor a swan.
Okay.
But they actually did that. They didn't say as a community board written to the town clerk.
Yes.
So they've actually agreed the money. So that's good.
So because of this being delayed, which is the next item, but it says it's being delayed, if they don't want that money back, we've definitely got that from them.
Our plan is to still spend it this year. So what we would like to do is to order the sculptures probably around about September, October. So they're really early.
I did read that in there, actually, yeah.
And then we can basically run the project throughout the winter, doing this one here, this one there, focus on this one. That's a slow burn to it.
All right.
A big rush.
And so we've definitely still got £1,000 one-off events that's untouched currently. Okay, fine. Thank you so much, Jan. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you for that, Lisa. What I was going to say to members, we've got earmarked reserves on here. I think what would be with the agreement of both officers is that we'll have a agenda item on a future agenda to explain what the earmarked reserves do and what they're doing. Because though I pretty much know what they're for, I don't think we've talked about it. And some of the earmarked reserves are self-explanatory, like we've got money for the river rings. We earmarked it because it was for other reasons, because we did one last year, we couldn't do two. And I just think a little explanation around what they're for and what they're against, because they're all the ones in yellow are ours. You know what they're for, tourist leaflet, and little short notes what they're for, so that when members know what their money's for in the committee, and then if there's money which we identify which hasn't got a commitment against it, then we can discuss
so we've got
whether we wish to pursue that with the officers to a further commitment based upon that, rather than make a suggestion and find out that money's all in earmark reserve, but it's actually committed. I think we need to do that to make sure that we don't just keep them there forever.
Sure.
And we can
use
them. I think just a short report what they're for, and then we can work with the committee then if they know that there's an identified what I call underspend that we want to work on a project, we can then plan that for a future meeting.
Yeah.
Are members happy to do that?
What's your office got to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that we do that. I mean, I want your agreement. I can't just ask the officer to do that. Yeah. Thank you very much. Right, we'll move back to Otter Trail. Okay, who's going to lead on Otter Trail?
Swan Trail.
Swan Trail.
Swan Trail.
As a Freudian.
Swatter. It says summer on the
Summer,
agenda.
yeah. Who's going to lead on that report?
That's going to be me.
Yeah.
So as already discussed, the plan was to do a rerun of a new version of the Otter Trail, which was going to be swans. We identified a company that was going to make them out of recycled materials. They're made in this country, they're environmentally friendly, basically using up stuff that would have gone to landfill to make a nice piece of art. Unfortunately, there have been delays and we can't get a commitment from the company that we want to order from that they're going to be able to deliver on time. We order straight away. Also, we're too late now realistically for the schools to have time to take part, which is going to be a big feature really. We need school kids involved because it's really for them as much as anybody. So therefore we think that the most sensible thing to do is we'd like to postpone the Swan Trail. As I say, we'll look to buy the sculptures in the autumn, run the project throughout the course of the year, lots and lots of publicity, take lots of time over it, so featuring maybe one school at a time or one swan at a time, and basically make sure we do it properly. Also gives us time to make sure that the Bucks floor, but we can get that programme properly, because at this time we're not going to get it done. I don't think we couldn't be sure it would be right, so it would be a rush and there may well be errors. So the proposal is we look to buy in, we use that £1,000 from one-off events, and we look to buy in a pre-made QR code based trail, which there are some commercial ones available. They're fairly straightforward to set up. It's a bit of virtual reality, so you get your phone out. It's like there's a 3D image actually imposed on reality. It would still be something nice to do over the summer holidays. It would fill that gap, and it's realistic and deliverable to do that over the summer, and then we'll steam ahead on the Swan Trail when we can do it properly.
Questions?
So that £1,000 is, you want to use that on that now? Okay.
Use that to buy in a commercial trail.
I think it's a good idea, because on our phones we've got AR and a lot of kids are doing it. You can put a lion in front of you and stuff, and the kids are all over that, like nobody's business. So I think that'd be a lovely idea. Happy for that, Sharon.
So this is the alternative summer activity.
Yeah.
I think it's a simple, straightforward enough one to involve children and the entire family. So I think it's quite good, especially with the limited budgets as well.
Yeah. And we'll push on with the other event throughout the year. We'll have an update. Maybe have an update in the meeting after next. Would that be appropriate?
I think that should be fine.
In the meeting after next, so that gives officers a chance to do the work. You happy with that, Amanda? Yeah. Any other questions about that? Are we happy to agree the report as it is?
Yeah.
I think it's sound, isn't it? It makes sense.
Yeah.
And that we're spending the community board's money with it, but I think we ought to.
We obviously need to write to them and tell them there's going to be a postponement. We're still spending it this year.
Just so that we don't get well, you didn't spend it on what you said you were going to spend it on,
That's what
which I think
for.
Councillor Donahue was worried about. But say anything about that, but but I do think we just push on with it. So members happy with that report, and we'll agree it. Can I show of hands? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Right, we'll move on to the next item. Councillor Murray.
Oh no, sorry, I was still waiting for you. On the same project.
That's in your hand up there. We do have some fun, don't we? Usually at my expense, but sorry about that. We apologise. Right, we're moving on to the outdoor theatre. Who's leading on that then?
It's going to be me again. Just a progress report to let you know. Obviously, the theatre's been on again this year, and it's going to be Peter Pan. The company that are doing it are quite a famous one. They're very well known. They've sorted out ticketing arrangements for us, because we will work together on the publicity. And it's going to be up on the Church Green on Wednesday, the 3rd of August. There'll be 2 showings, daytime and an early evening one.
Lisa?
Sorry. There isn't any family tickets, and if you add up, say, 2 adults and 2 children, it's like £48. I think that's quite expensive for our residents coming out of COVID and stuff. I mean, if it's coming to 4,200, well, we've got 4,200 for the budget. It's going to cost 4,023. Have we got some leeway there that we could make some family tickets up?
I'll take Ryan's question and I'll come to the answers.
Just to add to Lisa's point, actually, are there any concessionary charges for seniors and
No, well, no,
veterans?
Right, Ravina.
Yeah, I automatically thought £10 was an adult ticket, because it is quite steep, you know. You're taking a couple of kids along, you're looking at the best part of 50 quid.
Yeah,
It is expensive.
Okay, well, through the officers, price is what was agreed. I mean, last time, you remember when we agreed this event last year, we hadn't got anything that we could do, and we did it as a COVID breaker event, which was to get people back out in the community. Yes, I absolutely concur that the prices aren't where they are, but the one thing we haven't got this year, and officers will advise me it's contrary, we had to have limits on people last year because we could only sell so many tickets, because we couldn't get people in the ground, because we based it on
COVID restrictions.
and we were conscious, so we didn't anticipate selling any more than some tickets. This year, it was so successful, and it was so, the event was both events were sold out. So can we note what we said and look at what we do this year with the event?
Can we let you as chairman, vice chairman and the officers look at perhaps some costings? Because even, like, say if you broke these down, so 250 tickets at £10 and 250 adult, that's well over £5,000 for, you know, and I think if our expenses are 4,020 and we're covering that because we've got, and this is public money, we budgeted 4,200. So we're already covering ourselves. So we don't need to be making over £5,000 basically.
Are the committee happy for the chair, the vice chair and clerks and getting clerks to look at it and make a decision?
I've done.
Are you happy that we do that? But
I am. That's just
Yeah, I'm like,
We have to
about
agree it.
4,200 quid.
Yeah.
That would be 175 tickets of an adult and a child. So 350, it would be 175 adults, 175 children would come to 4,200 quid.
There's 2 shows, there's a matinee and an evening,
yeah,
so yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm like, that's 175 people per performance, isn't it? So,
yeah, well, we can put more people in than we did last year. It could be.
so how many?
250.
Yeah.
So it's 500 in total.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, we can
if we make it to reduce it.
Is that all right?
We don't then have another discussion about why we made a loss.
No. That's why I suggested that you guys look at it, because you know, income wise, I think everybody here's got a good idea on what, you know, people are struggling, and I just think it's not fair to us to make such an amount of money out of something that's public money.
Okay.
Thank you.
We did basically we went with what the company recommend, because they are quite a premium company, and that's what they suggested would be what they would normally charge. I mean, it is an event that is supposed to balance it, be cost neutral. I understand your point. It isn't. It is.
Thank you.
Ravina.
Appreciate that.
I think if we had like concessions, that would make it easier for a lot of people. So, for example, the elderly or family ticket.
Yeah.
If we discussed these prices and had concessions on these.
I think I'm getting the definite feeling from the committee, the wish to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And if we work with the deputy and chair, work with the officers on coming up with some proposals which improves this. One thing I would say that would be cost neutral to us, but I think we could agree that we ought to agree it now. If we're going to do it. Is last year, if you remember, we did some concessions tickets free, but we didn't charge for them because we allowed. I think it was we gave some tickets to young carers, didn't we? And we did that because we realised how much they'd actually been locked away and do that. At the moment, we have in the community roughly, correct me if I'm wrong, about 30 Ukrainian families in the community who may be feeling that they do that. But are you happy in principle for us to explore not charging for those as added numbers, not put into the budget discussion, that we could explore whether it's feasible to do either thing again this year as a good gesture to the community? Because what I'm worried about that we did agree to carers last year, that's almost set a good precedent, and that was because we were worried about them. But we have got these other families who may not get out, they may not be able to go to an event like this, and we could have, if we did it to both organisations, but do one in the matinee and one in so that they weren't like all these people at one part of it. Are you happy that we in principle go and agree it, and if it's possible we do it? Please.
I'm happy to agree to that if we're still going to look at reducing
Yes,
yeah, I think.
Because we
Yeah,
don't just
thanks.
we just won't be charging them, and they won't be part of the ticket space. And we haven't got the COVID restrictions on space. So say we had 10 children from each group, 10 children from each group and their parents coming along. No one's going to know, because we will give them, if it's possible to do it, we will give them tickets in advance, so no one will know when they arrive that they are they haven't paid, and no one will be able to identify them from anybody else.
Oh, that's fine. Yes, I see. We can look at
I just think
reducing
it's
the
one
cost.
activity that children from any culture, any background, will thoroughly enjoy it. And,
yeah, that's fine.
Are you happy for us to do that? Can I have a show of hands that we agree with that?
I think that's everybody.
Thank you. And we'll do that the same
No, I
three
don't put my hand
people.
up.
Yeah, the same three of us will look at that. And then we won't say beforehand, but we'll publicise it afterwards. What we don't want to do is publicise that Ukrainian children there, because we'll have lots of
I
people
don't, there's
coming.
no point in singling out anybody at all.
No, but
It's just, we're just doing it because we're. Well,
yeah, okay, thank you. And thank you for that. I think that debate was
concessions.
Yeah, that was a good debate.
I was going
And
to say that, but I thought you still talking. So.
we agreed that was a good debate, and we moved it forward. We're going to item 10 now. This is Forthcoming Event. Who's leading on the? Is it you, Amanda? Yeah, you lead. Yeah. Right, go on. I'm just trying to.
Okay. List of the forthcoming events from the 16th of July right through to Christmas parade. As you can see, we've got playground parishes, free basketball, Bandjam, dog show, all our usual events.
What members any comments on those events? Are we happy to note that part of the report? And
thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
okay, item 11, May Day. There's a report in the agenda, which I think is Amanda's report, isn't it? So you've got to take the committee through that, Amanda.
Maypole dancing that we have every year was only attended this year by one school. The other primary schools had other commitments and weren't able to come, but Forthcoming Meadow brought about 200 children.
Oh, bless them.
So it was good. And I was talking to Debbie Dearlove, who's the teacher at Forthcoming Meadow Academy that teaches the Maypole dancing, and she's done that for several years now. And it's something that she enjoys doing. She likes, she's really proud of the way the children dance. And yeah, what I think, and she said here that all credit must go to the children for learning the dances and performing them in front of the public, and that it's a tradition we must not lose.
Yeah.
So in the recommendation, I've put to consider offering to arrange for training for newer teachers to teach Maypole dancing in the future. Because when Debbie
like that.
retires,
Yeah.
there'll be nobody.
Yeah, good idea.
My only question is that we need to preset for that then, for next year, because we haven't got a budget for training people. We need to agree to, can we recommend to council to preset for some money for training for it? Because we haven't got a budget for it.
Who does it now?
They do.
Yeah, they do. Oh,
So what we're thinking about is getting a small budget to, whilst we could use, we have in the earmark reserves, we have youth budget in the earmark reserves. And if we leave the decision about the expenditure to after we get a what's available report, it could be we can find some funds within this year's budget to allocate to it. Would that be an appropriate way of doing it? And then if we can't find funds, at that point we'll agree to preset for it. Because it's got to be the right thing to keep our sort of national traditions going in Buckingham. We want to support that. Is that agreed?
Yeah.
And maybe get the officers and learn more pole dancing.
I think that may be a big ask, Andy. As you realise, I tried I know
Morris dancing.
Morris dancing. I believe the mayor was much more successful at Morris dancing than I was. More graceful, I believe. My lumbering bulk was, but I think perhaps we do it that way. Is that agreed? And then we'll talk about that in the next meeting, because I think we can identify some money for that.
Are there actually training courses?
We don't know. We need to explore that, because could be there isn't.
Can't Debbie just teach?
Teachers. Yeah, but I'm like, just to support her in doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we may need a budget to pay her to whatever it costs.
If we can include the other schools to have one teacher to learn, so that they get more participation from the pupils of all small schools like Pageville, Granville, and everything. Maybe that way we're just not relying on one.
Yeah, I concur. But we'll do that at the next meeting, if we need to do any expenditure, because I think that report that we have about earmark reserves will help us decide that. Jubilee Weekend, Buckingham, who's on the lead on that?
So on behalf of Bethany, Celebrate Buckingham was put together by Bethany Arts Apprentice. It was the first event of our Platinum Jubilee celebrations, and I think it's been quite a lot.
It went well, very well, very impressed.
Weather was lovely, lots of people attended, the event went really well. Lots of community organisations were there, lots of participation. And the recommendations that we do it again next year.
Just to note, I was impressed that the people of Buckingham got involved in it and decided to have picnics on the green, and then brought picnic blankets and made a event and a day of it. Excellent.
Would it be agreeable that we write to all the organisations involved in it from the community?
I think so.
And thank them for their involvement. I know Rabina led on that day, and you did a press release, didn't you?
Yeah.
Written in the paper. I read it at Mum's the other day, and that was went in the paper. But we just need to write them, thank them for coming and their involvement. I think nearly 99.9% of the people attending the event were wholly supportive and positive with us. So we agree with that, and we'll talk about this again in an agenda after the new year. Appropriate to agenda it in the new year, so we've got time to plan.
We'll pencil in the date and preset for it.
Yeah, we've got after preset. Thank you for that. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the day and bought for a flask of coffee. And I didn't lose my voice quite. Okay, in which case we're moving to the next item on the agenda. It was the so we don't celebrate Buckingham, which is the beacon lighting. It was just a short report on that. Are we happy to note that report?
Yeah.
Another excellent event. Surprised at the turnout.
Yeah, I was. I thought it was surprising turnout. I mean, I think it did what it needed to do. The beacon wasn't on for very long, but people turned up. Were we happy to write to the church and say, thank you very much for your cooperation in the event, and we look forward to doing it in the next 70 years. Let's probably have another platinum jubilee. 12.3, which is music in the market, Amanda.
Okay, that was another part of our Jubilee celebrations. That was on the Friday. So Music in the Market came back to the town centre. Strawberry Fields provided the stage, and Buckingham Acoustic Club organised the event, as they always do. There was a good turnout for this. It started at 2 o'clock, and there was quite a large crowd, whereas in the past at 2 o'clock there's been maybe just a handful of people. But yeah, even though we had a rain shower sort of halfway through the afternoon, early evening, not many people left. They stayed. And I think for me, the highlight of the day was the last band, Buzz and Jenks. And they played all 70s covers. But it was just upbeat music the whole time, and they were good. The drummer was from the Bay City Rollers, but not the original Bay City Rollers. It was from one of the...
I met him before.
Yeah, and then
the
keyboard player was from the 2. So they had a good little band.
Yeah, it's an excellent event.
It was happy with it. People also dispersed reasonably quickly.
Thanks. I noticed that we had a lot more staff than we have had previous years. Were they all there the same amount of time or part of the time? All the time?
I can do that. I could explain what it was, or Amanda can explain the times.
Just whether they were there for the whole time, half time, or okay.
No.
All right.
Claire, myself, and Louise were there just about the whole time.
Okay.
Because Louise was doing communications and Claire and I were there. Ian and Craig, they worked from 7 in the morning till about noon, and then came back at 5 o'clock for the litter picking and clean up later on. Lachlan, he joined them in the evening about 5 o'clock for the litter picking and that. Bethany came about 6 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock for the litter picking, and same with Paula.
Okay.
Because Andy knows what we generally do is because we're conscious doing the event, we generally, officers or volunteers or councillors who attended, do a litter pick halfway through the day. And the reason we do that,
I've been there. You don't have to explain that. Yeah, it's fine.
And it works out really well.
I think because we normally have a lot more councillors there doing litter picking, so but the staff have known that because we would have usually had a lot more councillors put in.
The reason that we start the litter picking at 5 o'clock is to enable us to get out of there earlier, because when I first started and we were there at midnight, we were still cleaning up, but now we can be out of there by 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it's probably the first year that I helped out.
And I think the town people are now seem to appreciate that they need to clean up as well and use the bins that are provided. And that's made a big difference. There's not so much litter on the ground and on the floor of the things as it used to be. If you Councillor Stutchbury remembers, we were one year we were there till 2 a.m. in the morning. Still cleaning up, because there was so many bottles and things.
But I think every year we modify the event, improve the event, and we do different things. And the changes that we've done, and the reason we use the staff means that we don't have to have so many people at the end of the evening, because having them throughout the day, it means that people don't have to be at the end of the evening. I was there from beginning to end, and it was a good atmosphere all day, I felt. And I think Andy and I were there sweeping up with our double team, with the brush and the broom, and following each other around. It doesn't seem an end of an evening if we haven't got a broom and a brush between us, does it, Andy? But I think it was a success, and we've obviously thanked the Acoustic Club and PA people, didn't we? So that's good. Right, we move on to 12.4, which was Picnic in the Park, which is Sam's report. Who's going to lead on that?
Again,
Okay.
so Picnic on the Pitch was the fourth of the platinum events. By far had the worst weather, unfortunately, which is a bit of a problem for a picnic. Another problem is that it actually wasn't forecast to be that bad. So we were expecting a little bit of drizzle early on. We weren't actually expecting it to rain continuously. And as you know, it gets very windy at Lace Hill. Very windy at Lace Hill. Maybe we're a little bit reluctant to put up some gazebos and things because it really was western. However, we did actually have a reasonable turnout. There were lots of families there. There were crafts inside the sports hall and inside the committee room. And some families did break it out in the sports hall. It's really difficult to say how many people actually attended throughout. I don't think a lot of people stayed for a very long time because we got carbon wet and then left. But it did strike me. Rosemary said that every child was able to have design a badge, and she said she went through 200. So now I'm sure that there was the odd child who snuck through and picked up more than one badge, but generally it's supposed to be one each.
I had one.
Did you?
The real child.
299 children.
No, still 200 children.
It was a difficult event, but the people who did attend, we got good feedback and were happy and appreciated the event had gone on. And there was a lot of British spirit of knuckling down under an umbrella and a blanket. And to be honest, the music was really good.
It was tough. The first performer lost her voice and we had to get her husband back.
We got standing.
We got standing. She lost her voice and suddenly went. And so her husband came and filled in, did the second half for her, which actually I thought was fine. But I think we should record our thanks to all the officers on those civic events in the minutes, if that's okay. Thank all the officers and staff for all what they did during those days.
Yeah.
I think it's they did pull the stops out for us and they did give the town.
The whole of the event,
and I think compared to other places, we were lucky with the weather that two of our major events hit the right weather. Where other communities had theirs on a Sunday, and Sunday wasn't such a good day, was it? Which brings us to 12.5, which was the civic service. There's nothing for us really to say on that.
Only that, again, I was surprised at the turnout, which was very good.
I was always, I think it was good to see that people turn out for the mayor, and there was an awful lot of people from the usual organisations in Buckingham there, wasn't there? And I think we ought to thank Margaret actually in the minutes, because she was at all these events, speaking at most of them throughout the weekend, trying to think of something different to say in case she went to an event which she spoke yesterday, varying her speeches to the various events, and I think which was really really good, not using one speech to every event. She actually varied it and tried to tone her voice and speech to the events, which I think says more about Margaret than us really. So we minute our thanks to the mayor. Okay, in which case we'll move on to item 13, sustainable events. There's a report in there. Who's reading on that? Nina. Fire away, Nina.
Can you hear me all right?
Can we? Yeah.
You can hear me all right, can you?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So the report is sustainable events. It says it's off the back of TC&E's discussions in April's committee around sustainable events. So within our climate emergency action plan, there is a action which TC&E obviously within their discussions were looking to deliver on, which was worded to investigate options for carbon offsetting our events, for instance, bonfire and fireworks. So you'll see the report goes on to discuss exactly that, bonfire and fireworks, and how titanium fireworks actually have an environmental consideration policy, and how they basically carbon offset the footprint of their firework schemes. And it takes you through the various measures that they've implemented alongside what ourselves and the Green Spaces team do in terms of materials that are placed on the bonfire, not accepting waste from external organisations. So building on this, essentially, I think we perhaps need to relook at this action. I don't think it's enough to say that we as a town council need to measure our carbon footprints of our events. I don't think that's meaningful enough. When you look at other organisations, when you benchmark us against other town and parish councils and other districts, they're looking wider at sustainable events. Now, we actually do quite a lot and have been doing quite a lot since 2019 when we first introduced our climate emergency action plans to deliver on that. So, we've already looked at phasing out single-use plastics in our offices and at events. But many of our measures are really holding us to account. They don't hold to account anybody else, any other hirers or any other people that we may employ. So what's being suggested in the report is essentially that we ask for a commitment of what our hirers or what our suppliers are already doing or are willing to do. So you'll see that what I've put in here is a couple of examples. So an environmental impact assessment, which is not one size fits all. It can be tailored for the event or for the form that it can be incorporated into. But there's an environmental impact assessment. The example is against the Spring Fair. And this would be something that we would obviously be asking them to fill out. And then we're going on to the second example, which is to be inserted within our booking form. So for instance, for Lace Hill, if we were giving out a booking form to use the rooms there, or we could also be incorporated into booking forms, for instance, for the Spring Fair, if somebody was going to be coming and booking, or the food fair or something like that, it's a section that can be incorporated there. And we're just sort of asking them, what actions are they willing to take, or have they already taken? And it might just be signposting to something that they haven't already thought that they're already doing. But it will give us some great material as well to publicise the event. Because Louise, for instance, the comms team, they're always looking for more build on our events. And these kinds of sustainable things are always really good news.
Before I ask the next question, and thank you for the report, when it comes to dealing with, you probably encountered this in the office in conversation, when it comes to dealing with historic people that we've dealt with and people, very easy to, when you get a new person to come in and say, well, this is what we do for our policy, because they're coming to work here. Where we have people who have historically done things for us over the years, and there can also be problems with sometimes the stuff that they've ordered in doesn't match the stuff that they've got. And what we need to have an aspiration to move with our new traders, I think would be reasonable to say, when it comes to doing a new event, this is what we expect. But we need to modernise the previous ones, because they'll say, well, I didn't do this last year, why have I got to do this year? Councillor Donahue. No, Councillor David.
I did have a question, but
I think you need to go to Specsavers.
I need to do lots of things, Greg, and that's just one of them.
So I don't see that it will be an issue, because each event that we book traders for, etc., they have a booking form. They have to produce their certificate of employers of liability insurance, etc. They're in the case of the food fair, food hygiene certificates, and all of those things. So it's a revision of that booking form, as far as I can see, and it could be signposted on that booking form to say that as a council which takes the climate emergency seriously, we are looking to make sure that that all our suppliers and providers are complying, doing what they can to help us out with this sort of thing.
Thank you. Councillor Donahue.
Just like I had it in my head
I
there.
thought you put your hand up. I'm sure I did. I knew you were going to speak.
Okay, so the page 36, 47. What can you do to help bit? The first sentence at the end, it says that improves sustainability of this event. Should it say your stall or activity, because they're not doing the event? I don't know if event is the right word to use. And then the fourth line from the end. So some of the actions you will take will save you money too. I don't know if we can presume it will save them money. I don't know if because it's some of the things that they do might cost them initially, and in the future might save them money, but I don't know if we can presume that some of their actions will save them money. I don't know if we just need to take that out.
In brief, Councillor, is it the wording of it? You've got no problem with the aspirations of the wording, it's the wording that you want changed.
Yeah.
So if Nina would have heard that, and then I'll come back to her in a minute. I'll take Councillor Ryan now so that he can speak, and then she can take the 3 points in at once. That's okay.
I'm just concerned. Oh, this is only for the Spring Green Fair, is it? Can we also raise another event?
It's an example.
Right.
It's not a real one.
The Charter Fair. When is the licence policy being renewed for that?
I think what would be better with the Charter Fair, if I could explain you in brief. We have a legal obligation to Charter Fair. The Charter Fair is as a legal right to come to town. We operate it on licence. There is no licence review for it.
Right. Okay.
Because it doesn't come up for a licence review.
I mean, it's a contract or
It's
something.
a contract.
Yeah.
We have a contract with there, and the town has a contract with them, and we operate under licence.
Right.
Town council operates under licence. In fact, it might be worth rather than me try to explain the history, that we send a briefing note to the committee about the history behind it, because it's all about me saying something. I think a briefing note around the history of it sent to the committee would be a really good idea.
Yeah.
Rather than me say something, then you come back and you'll have it correct.
Yeah.
It's a logical question to ask, but it's not the right question when it comes to that event.
I was going to follow this up with, is there any carbon? I mean, I enjoy the fair as much as anyone else in the town. I love that it comes every year, and you know, that people enjoy the fair. Is there any carbon offsetting measures that we can implement, or maybe not this year?
Had a showman's meeting.
Sorry,
have you ever been to a showman's meeting?
No.
I think perhaps you ought to come and sit in a showman's meeting, and then
sure, okay,
and then you can understand that this isn't it. Councillor Mara is smiling at me. This isn't like dealing with any other organisation.
No.
You have to understand that these people need really carefully looking after.
They're all individual.
They're all individuals,
so.
and they're all individual sole traders.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with one person.
Yeah.
That's it.
Under an umbrella, but they're
That's
individuals.
Over many years, with various town clerks, we've managed to get the best out of people. Get the best out of them by suggesting something new to them without thinking through this conversation.
I don't think he was suggesting
No, I
that.
don't think that, Lisa, but I think it would be useful.
I'm just implying that,
it's an unfair question. It's a good question. It's a really good question, Ryan, but the organisation isn't the same. I think maybe that would be something that it's all very well, Councillor Mara and I've been chugging around this for many years. I think before we discuss the fair next year, a briefing note about the what the fair is, where it comes, the custom and practice about it, so that when we get to meet, you haven't got somebody like me saying to you, "Oh, well, you don't do it like that." It really doesn't help. It's condescending. It's not right. And so when we discuss the fair later in the year, we'll have a briefing note about the history of it and whatever. And you're always welcome to come.
Definitely, I relish
on the day the fair comes in. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot. Nina, I didn't come back to you apologising about the points made earlier.
I'm happy to incorporate Lisa's comments. I'm happy to take out the section around the possibility of saving money. Lisa, can you just clarify the first point though that you were saying on events?
Yeah, so it was what can you do to help? So page 36 to 47. and it was the first sentence at the end of the line where it says that improves sustainability of this event. I didn't know if we need to change that to your stall or your activity, because this event kind of sounds like we're asking them about the event on a whole, when they're like a trader of that. It was just, yeah, that's all. Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Well, firstly, thank you very much for the report.
Yeah,
Can
it's
I-
really good.
Can I ask you to, over a period of time, because there's huge different types of events we do, and some of them are national issues, some of them are legal issues, some of them are the markets that we run and stuff. If we're going to look at this, what I get concerned about is that you go to another committee and they say, oh, well, we ought to look at that, but then they have no concept of the what's involved, customer practice and trade. If we're going to move forward, we've got to make sure we take it with. Would it be agreeable with the committee to ask Nina to look at some of the other things we do over a bit of time, specifics? If we were going to do something with the fair, how would we do it? You know, because of the customer practice. If we were going to do something with another, how would we do it? So that any change we do is with cooperation, because it takes quite a long conversation with different organisers. Do you sort of get where I'm heading with that, Nina? That everything's different, not everything's the same. The customer practice in different events and the people you deal with are very much different people. Would it be something that maybe we could agree a meeting and discuss something for the next agenda to explain what I mean about putting individual organisations and names into the public? I think we do need to do it, and we can't make one thing doesn't fit all, but we do need to move forward with it, because you're right to draft a report, Nina, and you're right to bring it to us. But I do worry that the council sometimes there's drift between committees in what they think we should do. But
so you want the first document, the
Yeah.
one that's under page 32 or 47?
yeah,
You want that done for the Charter Fair?
yeah, I want to sort of over time. I'm not saying I want it all done tomorrow. I'm just saying that over a period of time, if we can look at event by event.
It'd be useful when they come back with their hiring agreement, like
Yeah,
their,
yeah. Well,
because
I
they'll
think
list
at the
them.
appropriate time, Nina. Not like we're going to do it all tomorrow. If we're going to renew the contract for the fair, which we will have to do at some point soon, and we have to have a meeting with them. That would be something that we would take to that meeting, that we're looking at changing how that does, so that we start that conversation with them. Because once we've got a contract with them, we can't very well change it there afterwards. And we have to. We have a contract with Mr. Nichols, and then we do it. That's just using an unfair example. There are other people we have contracts with, and if we're going to move forward, we've got to just move edging. We've got to 2030, so we've got quite a lot of time in the tank, and we don't want to lose anyone. Well, we actually probably haven't got to 2030, but because the world's changed, but we do need to move forward with it. Are you happy to sort of work on that principle, Nina?
That's fine. I think, yeah, when it comes to reviewing those larger events, I think we'll take those as they come up. I do, as Councillor Donoghue said, I think this one, although it's not a one size fits all, I think there is the potential that it fits within Amanda's existing management plans and event reviews, just as a smaller sort of subsection, essentially. And they will be very different because all of our events are so unique. And it's a way of teasing out the good work that's already taking place, and also asking our traders and our hirers what they're already doing, and just elevating that so that, you know, it's promoting the good news that's already taking place.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we move on to the next item, is there any other questions for Nina on this?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Are you wanting to stay around for the next item, Nina, which is the environment impact assessment?
Stay around for the next one, and then I might head out.
That's what I was getting. Being as you work on that, it's only right that you we haven't Do you want to comment on that report from the point of view where you think we are?
So there's not a
Or is that unfair?
not a huge amount of updates on this month's climate action plan. I think the main ones being since full council, where we received the review of the annual town meeting, which was our first climate change public meeting. So some of those actions have now been incorporated into our action plan, which is updated on our website. So essentially it means that we already have a regular programme of content planning for environmental campaigns and initiatives, and that we have started engaging with our local schools to discuss our action plan and other kind of community initiatives. In fact, only this morning I was up at BPS, I want to call it Page Hill, it's not, Buckingham Primary School, handing over.
When I went there, it's Page Hill.
Handing over the 30 litter pickers that we look after now at the depot. So they've got them for the week, and the kids are going to be doing 2 hour-long sessions across the week, litter picking in various hotspots in Buckingham. We've got some photographs, and then they're going to feed back how many bags they collected, any other sort of feedback from other areas, hotspots, that sort of thing. Anything else really that's come up? The only really main thing is what we've just discussed, which is updating our sustainable events.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nina.
Nina, just before you go, did I read an email, a dream an email, that we're going to have a litter picking day in July? Was it July or sometime? That we were scheduled to do a litter picking in conjunction with Bucks? Or did I just read that somewhere else and think it was something that you wrote?
I'm not aware of that one.
No, I just, it was a Bucks litter picking day. I didn't know whether it was something that we would be involved in, but I read too many things, Nina, I apologise. But just to check that there wasn't something that we would be doing. Well, thank you very much for your time, Nina.
Yeah, thanks for Nina.
Susan, before.
Perhaps I might just interject that maybe a public litter picking event might be something to think about, because when I was on the stall at Celebrate Buckingham,
Yeah.
I did have a member of the public ask were there any events that he could ever join in with. I did only have one ask. I wasn't mocked with it, but there is some appetite for people doing a bit.
Well, that's first thing Nina came back to us. The first time she came to us was over a litter pick in Buckingham, wasn't it? So
I'm taking it with Nina's suggestion about what she's done in the past and Susan's suggestion. Is there a second to proposing that we organise a litter picking day? Take Ryan. Are we agreed that we'll work with the officers to pick a suitable date? I don't want it to be a date when we expect the officers to turn out and hold bags. I think it's got to be a date where the councillors take responsibility and take the litter home, rather than making their officers just coordinate the event for us, rather than give people another day to go out. Looking at our calendar of events, are we happy to do that and involve the whole council and invite all the council to it? Especially those members we don't see very often at events. Rabina.
I was thinking along the lines of maybe a day to kick-start an ongoing campaign. So, for example, if you have something on your website where you weekly or fortnightly you put pictures, this group has collected this much, encourage people to do it. So rather than a one-off event, it would just be the start of the campaign, which will just keep ongoing throughout the year.
Yeah, Andy?
Thank you. We do have a litter picking event and have had it for many, many years, twice a year.
River.
Yeah, it's still litter, it just happens to be in the river.
Yeah.
And we have been doing it for a long time, and people can volunteer. So I can appreciate that you can have a dry land litter picking, but we already have a wet litter picking event twice a year.
Which we have
we do actually also go down the edges of
Yeah,
the river and do a land
Well,
one as well.
Would it be, thinking of being a point on board, that we use the first river rinse as a push-up point for picking up litter in the town and tidying the town up? So we've already got an event scheduled, which we're not using officers' time unwarrantedly, and then use that to take Ravina's suggestions forward, that we push on with an event of people doing it then on. Fran?
I think that's leaving it a bit far in the future. I think it's something that ought to happen sooner rather than later, because that's September, isn't it? The river rinse.
Yeah, it'll soon be it.
So but we've got various other events going on, things going on in the town.
Ryan, then Ravina, and then we'll move.
And it's possible that, building on Sue's idea of a depollute the parks day or something like that.
Depollute.
Yeah. Instead of pollute the parks, depollute.
I'm going to take Ravina, and then we'll agree, taking on what Councillor Davis says about it being too far in advance. Ravina.
I was just going to say, I don't think it has to be an event which involves too much manpower. It's just something which needs to be promoted on various channels, and also coming up to the school summer holidays and all the events. We want people to pick up their rubbish and take it home with them, or pick something up and put it in the bin. It's really that simple. So if we can come up with some sort of catchy logo.
Keep Buckingham
tidy.
And then just put it on everything every week. You know, if someone sends a picture of their kids with 2 bin bags or full of litter, we'll put it on our, newsfeed or something. So it's something simple. It doesn't involve like spending money.
Yeah,
obviously.
I was just going to say, I wonder whether we could, the young man who went in the river and cleared out a load of stuff the other day, whether we can engage with him to kickstart it, because his Facebook post received a huge amount of traffic, huge number of comments.
Would you agree with that, Susan?
I was just wondering who the young man was who went in the river collecting stuff.
His name was Paul, that's all I know.
There was two Pauls together.
Well, one Paul brought the other Paul beer.
It wasn't Paul
So they're
beer.
not children.
No.
I mean, we haven't
loads pictures, haven't we?
Okay, then what we need to do is take on board the Councillor Davies says that it's not, we need to push on with it. Thank Susan for the initiative. Take Ravina's points on, which are the 3 main points.
We've got the litter pickers in the parks.
And that we're going to promote it. And we need to set a date for the kick-off time, which probably could be start of the summer holidays, with school holidays, keep Buckingham tidy, which would be a good thing, because the parks do get in a mess in the summer holidays, don't they?
Yeah. I would suggest, sorry to intervene, like a week before, just build it up on social media.
And considering it was listed from everybody else, can I ask for some words from Susan, yourself, Ravina, and Councillor David, that we put in a press release around this, that the committee has agreed to keep Buckingham tidy, with 3 sort of statements around it, to promote it, rather than just the chair do a press release. It's better to include the committee in this, and 3 people responding better than 1, isn't it? And are you happy with that? That we do a press release around it with the 3 of you? Yeah. Obviously, I'll add some words if they're needed, but I think the 3 of you can probably do well without an extra paragraph from me.
So I'm just looking at the dates, and I would suggest that tying it in with the start of the Fringe week, because we're obviously inviting people to come to town and do things, take part in those things, and it would make sense to me to integrate this.
That's also the first weekend of the school holidays.
Just one thing.
When do they break up?
Are you happy?
All right, the 15th.
Are you happy that we
Gosh, that's heavy, isn't
that we go away and look at whether we can find a small budget, and whether it's possible to print 3 T-shirts with Keep Buckingham Tidy on, and that we could then do a photograph of the 3 of you in T-shirts for the press release, or we could just do.
We don't normally single out councillors, chairman, if it's always like a committee thing, so I think that.
I'm just asking the quote. I mean, let's do that
We're
then.
doing a press release, fine.
Yeah, we'll do the press. Are you 3 happy to do some work and keep Buckingham tidy?
And promote the fact that we've got the litter pickers in the parks, that they can get hold of the code and.
I was just going to say, if we come up with the logo, Keep Buckingham Tidy, we can, we don't have to spend money. We can just superimpose the logo on someone's top or whatever, put them in a plain T-shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
So we don't have to. I think we need to not spend money on something like this. Just do it through social media.
Yeah.
I've taken board what you said. We could just ask that it gets included in all the social media. A line in all the social media, Keep Buckingham tidy.
Well, just have a stamp to go on every photo.
Exactly.
Everything that goes.
Yeah, just so because we will get discussions about the parks, and some of the team have to up the maintenance and the cleaning part. We always have to up that in summer, and it's the right time to do it. Which thank you, Susan, for raising it, and thank you everybody else doing that. Is that okay? We move on with that. Where have we got to on the agenda now? It's 15 Fringe Week. That's right. Thank you. So I think we've agreed that as an action. We'll come.
Let's get Nina.
Thank you, Nina.
Thank you, Nina.
That was constructive. Fringe Week, right? Amanda, you going to lead on this report?
Fringe Week will take place from Saturday the 16th of July to Sunday the 24th of July. And it's going to include everything from Skatepark Event to Saturday entertainment, the Oxford Fiddle Group, Art in the Market. And then Wayne King has organised the BFG at the playing fields in Gorcott on Saturday the 23rd. And because that will take a large number of people away from the town, we've included it as part of Fringe Week, because the Fringe was organised to include events put on during that period of time by other organisations, not just by the town council. The Skatepark event will be on Saturday the 16th. We've had them in the past, and the kids don't have to pay an entry fee or sign up. It's one of those things that was organised for teenagers originally, because they've really got nothing in the town except the skate park. They just turn up. It's run by professionals, King Ramps. I was reading something the other day, and the owner of King Ramps was a professional skateboarder back in 2006, 2007. He comes up here, puts on the event and does skate parks all around the country, and he brings a couple of professionals with him. So one will be a professional skateboarder, the other one a professional BMXer, and the 2 that came with him last time were getting ready to go to the Olympics. They interact really well with the kids and older teenagers,
and even
into their
young
20s.
ones, 5-6-year-olds, are so patient with them.
Yeah. And you'll find that the 18, 19-year-olds that come along and take part in the event will interact with the young ones and help them as well. There's demonstrations by the professionals, a workshop, and then they go into the competition. And the prizes aren't just a little trophy or something. There's been a set of wheels, isn't there?
Skateboards and all sorts.
And they're all provided by King Ramps. And all we do is just provide the venue and turn up. And it's a good day, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think this must be probably the 5th one that we've done. We're hoping that night to have the first of our comedy nights again. That'll be in the community centre, and I'm just waiting to hear back from the agent as to what comedians will be coming.
Brilliant.
And then see the Oxford Fiddle Group, because you can't have the Fringe without the Oxford Fiddle Group. They've been coming forever, haven't they?
There's a backstory in that. A lady saw them on holiday, introduced them to us, and they've been coming ever since. They're actually lovely. If you get a chance in, the lovely people you get to Jubilee.
And they don't charge us.
They don't charge us.
No, no.
And we give them a donation to their petrol. And we want people, which is very relevant at the moment.
Yeah.
We may have to up that donation this year.
And then there's on Saturday the 16th and Saturday the 23rd, there's market entertainment outside the old jail in the cattle pens. So it ranges from classical music to stilt walkers. Udo from the Buckingham Acoustic Club will be playing on the 23rd, and on the 16th, the St Mary and St Giles Church Band. Then there's Art in the Market, which the art group will be taking part in.
Oh, any questions?
It'll be a busy week.
Any questions? Anybody's welcome to get involved in the thing.
Thank you. I would just implore committee members to please come along to the Skatepark event, and also the youth project. The young people put on a play, and we normally give them a theme, and they work with that theme, and they are outstanding. And it's so nice for them to see town councillors come to the event. The teachers love it. They're all really supportive. And we provide, we either get somebody in to do a bar, or we compensate the schools if they buy in any refreshments. And it's just brilliant. I think the more of us turn up, the better. If you can all come, that'd be brilliant.
Is that the Thursday event?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you were there, 2014, the start of the World War One celebrations.
Yeah.
There was myself, Robin, and Andy, I think.
Yeah.
And that one reduced us to tears.
And me.
They were so good. That's us. That's us.
It was really moving.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was almost professional, wasn't it?
well, I think it was so.
Yeah.
I've seen a similar act on Britain's Got Talent. There was kids that were doing a World War thing. It was a dance, and that reminded me of what they did, because it was just heart-wrenching. You know, this girl, her husband was going off to, and she was pregnant, and it was just how they did it with no words, and it was just so moving. So yeah.
I mean, this is a truly positive event. It might be worth, I think, when we do the debrief on this event, after the event, it might be just that I think we'll have a note of the history of how we got into this, doing this event, so members are aware of it. I think it's just so that you've got that back history of what happened. I think it's important that members understand that, rather than someone from the chair say, well, we did it because of X, and somebody's, why are you doing that? And it's just really good. One other thing, I think, with your agreement committee, are we happy to allow the office to review the agreed that the office to review after this year's event how we promote the event next year, come back with some alternative costings around it if necessary. There are some thoughts that we aren't making the best use of the budget. I've heard them, but I think we just have to agree to let the officers go away and come back with some costings around that. I'm not going to say what we might do, but that'll be within the report.
So it's in addition to what we do now.
When we do the debrief, when we're planning for next year, the officers may come back with an alternative report around how we promote the event. We're in a better position now than we were 7 years ago when we were doing this event, and we've got more scope. And I don't want to predict a report what it might say, but we agreed to let the officers review that and come back with some costings around how we promote the event. I'm not going to say any more than that.
So Fringe Week is how we promote it for next year.
Yeah, and let them come back, because there's
So it's sensible.
Yeah.
we may find some costs and savings in it, or improvements, you know,
Totally.
which then we can use that
sensible.
money in a better way.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. It's kind of a calendar event. It's 4.2, yeah. Okay, which case we agree note that report, thank you. Now we're moving on to.
Can I just have clarification on 1.2 recommendation, just
Sorry.
the ticket price for the comedy night, some guidance as to what members would like to do with that.
Oh, hold on,
Yeah, right. Thank you very
Right.
much. You're quite right. We should
what number is this, sorry?
10, coming at 10.1.
There's a cost in here. It comes out after presumably what we do the breakdown. It comes out that we make £7 profit.
If we charge £17.50 per ticket, and we manage to sell 186 of them.
How do members wish to proceed with this?
I can go for 17 pounds.
So 1750 is the suggested amount. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's good. That's a suggested, and you've done the homework on it. I might as well go with it.
It's the suggested minimum. If we go any lower than that, I sincerely think you.
Probably not. It's,
No.
yeah, you've worked it out that we couldn't do it. Yeah,
Would there be any concessionary charges as well?
we don't with this
No.
one, can't afford it.
Everybody
If
laughs
we
the
put
same.
if we put
Yeah.
the
They all laugh.
price ticket up to like £25, maybe we couldn't recoup the money back if we, yeah.
Honestly.
I'm just wondering whether we could go a bit higher on that.
It's-
Or
yeah,
maybe
it's-
18 pounds.
I was going to say
Round it
to
off.
20, round it up to 20.
No, 20 is too,
Well,
psychologically it sounds a
No,
lot.
it's not.
18
No,
sounds,
1750 is nearly 20 quid.
I know.
It is,
That's not how
but
you
yeah,
look
I
at
know
it.
what you're saying. It's like
Is
that.
it £9.99? Sounds not as much as £10.
It comes down to
We're
again,
gonna
our
start
residents
thinking
do
more.
struggle
We've
to.
had a proposal for £20, a proposal
For 18.
for £18.
I'll second the 18.
You're going to second, anyone who's second 20?
I'd be happy with the 1750.
Okay.
I don't see the point in
So we got-
raising it a little bit.
Okay, so we've really got, what we're saying is we're happy with 1750,
Yeah.
but we wish to review the price upwards. One of the things that would give us is a little bit more opportunity to balance it. 50 pence didn't seem as much as £2.50.
£2.50 is a swift half pint.
Indeed.
Well, a swift half,
Just-
very swift half pint, £2.50.
Just.
It's-
Yeah, I'm happy with 17.
Gallon. Where are we getting your petrol, man? We're all going there. Where's this secret petrol store they've got in? We're all coming there. Can I suggest that it can be shot down? We go for £18, and that just gives us a 50 pence leeway on this ticket price. If that can be voted down, we go with 17. And that, if that's voted down, we can come up with a different offer. So I'll propose 18.
Nice, yeah.
You proposed it already.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Andy's proposed.
I've seconded it already.
All right.
Keep up. Keep up.
Well, I have so many other things. I was going to do a Dutch auction, but right. Well, thank you very much, Councillor Daniel. In which case, shall we agree move to vote on £18? All those in favour?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's everybody.
That's fine. That's the majority. Right. Okay. Thank you for that, and thank you, Deputy Town Clerk, for making sure we agreed the most important part on the report, which we were going to skip over if you hadn't brought it to our attention. Thank you. Good job. Somebody's awake. Next thing is a big item. Who's leading on this? Because it says Town Clerk, so I should imagine it would be you.
Yes.
Because Paul's not here. So you've got to take us through this. It is quite a big step forward, this.
It's a baby step forward. Obviously, the culture and art strategy has been on the action list for some time. It's quite a big chunk of work, but it has been hanging around and it does need driving forward. So the town clerk's proposal is that you will agree for us to provide a detailed plan, and probably the most important thing is to set up a working group of councillors and partners to help us look at what we're going to get out of that detailed plan.
That would include section 106 contributions and stuff as well.
That's going to be where it's heading.
Yeah, because you may be aware, I've read the draft section 106 agreement for one of the developers in Buckingham, and it is already got art strategy into the draft. You know, we've been arguing for ages to get art and culture into a section.
In sports and leisure, isn't it?
It's
So
all in
far.
sports and leisure.
Yeah.
We won that a little bit of a fight, and it's only a draft section 106. So I think we're winning that fight because we want to get a point in the future. We need to settle this arts and leisure question, which we've been doing for years. So we're happy to agree that, and would the members agree that we'll make a press release that we're doing this to attract people to come to it? You happy with that?
Yeah.
Right, and we'll work on that. We put it in the paper when it's got more chance of and press release of going forward. We do need to settle it, and it's going to come up in every committee. It's going to come up in the local plan. It's going to come up in planning again. It's going to come up at the
It's been an aspiration for years.
I can remember Councillor Strain-Clark discussing this when she was mayor, and we wanted to do this, and we got lots of things going forward. We've never got a building, we've never got anything, and now we've agreed that it's a policy in council. It's the right thing. Thank you for that.
Thanks for putting a report together.
One thing before we move forward is are members happy that the way we've been doing events over the summer, the way we've been doing different people doing different things, though I might know in here who's doing what, it might be used for the next committee meeting that we have a briefing note for members on who's been involved in events over the summer, what people done what, why they did what, and just not to comment on the report, but just so members know who's doing what and where. But I think it's things have, since COVID, everything's changed. The way we've done things, we've evolved to do things. I think that Amanda, the events coordinator, we've had lots of other people including events. It's okay for Andy and myself and soon Fran to understand that, but I think the committee need to know who's doing what in the committee on events, and we've got a bigger team doing things now than we did.
You're about staff, aren't you?
Yeah.
What members of staff are doing what project?
I think
that's a wise decision. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I'm happy to go with that.
Yeah, because then it allows you to grow our discussions around how we do things in the future. Because it's not wrote down anywhere, and it should be wrote down somewhere so that people can see it in the view.
We are very much a team these days.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm getting. It's a team approach, isn't it? But I know that, and I've seen it, but we've never discussed the fact that we're a team approach in the committee, and I think it's important that we do. Because when we go out to something,
I'd like to celebrate Buckingham Day. There's people coming over to Amanda asking their questions, and I didn't realise that it wasn't. It didn't realise it was Bethany that was doing it all.
No,
so you're totally right. It's like things like that.
I know, but then I haven't told anybody.
Yeah.
And
Amanda said, "Oh no, you need to speak to."
But we hadn't discussed it. But we hadn't done it in a proper way. It's just for people to see what we're doing, because we are evolved into this really quite big team of people doing various things, including the town centre manager, including stuff, and it's a whole gambit. Plus the market manager and all this is quite a team of people out there that we, perhaps as a committee, don't pay enough attention to, and who's doing what. And it also allows you as members to have a proper conversation with the team. Which, you're the committee.
Yeah, so I said to Bethany on that day that she'd done really well with everything.
But if you're the team,
I wouldn't have known that had I not heard that she was.
Are you happy that we do that?
Yeah, absolutely, good idea.
Thank you. In which case, 17, we should make representatives on outside bodies. What's that?
There was a conversation at full council about an opportunity for councillors who are on outside bodies and may have an update that may be of interest to the relevant committee. It's just a little slot there if there's
yeah, that's fine. I was confused by it.
So there was a meeting of the Buckingham Youth Club. I believe it was last Thursday. Now they've got a couple of events coming up that I've penciled on the back here. Drawing on the back packet. But the Friday, the 24th of June, they've got a night there. I can't remember what it was entirely. Let me just get.
Is it a barbecue?
Yes, that's the correct. It is
Yeah.
barbecue, and that's running from 3:30 till 6 p.m.
What at least?
Yeah.
Social work there.
And Friday the 17th, they've got a Ukrainian night at 3:30 p.m. till 6 p.m. There was a lot of issues raised around refurbishment of the Buckingham Youth Club and staff costings of the Buckingham Youth Club. The staff costings being the highest proportion.
Yeah.
And understandably so, they've got the highest staff there. But the AGM is on the 28th of September at 7 p.m. at the Centre.
Thank you very
Would
much.
it be possible, Ryan, that you give those notes to Dan Clark? So
As soon as the minutes are published.
So that because then it can go to all the other committees as a note, which is really good. I was there at the meeting. I thought it was actually an in-person meeting, so I drove up to the youth centre to realise no one was there. Then I actually read the agenda, so I did the meeting in the car, which was it was right at the bottom. So that's my excuse. Right, access.
Andy's got his hand up.
Andy, sorry.
Thank you. I just through you, Chairman, ask Ryan, what's the Ukrainian night?
So they're planning to host a Ukrainian night to support, I believe it was the refugees and the families in Buckingham, to welcome them and to embrace them into our community.
Okay.
Which
I think
Basically for them, isn't it? For the Ukrainian kids to be able to play with our equipment and just chill out.
Yeah.
It's not really for loads of residents and stuff to come to.
Not silly questions.
Yeah, it's for the Ukrainian families to come in and just be in a safe place. And there's going to be Ukrainian speakers there, and they can just chill. Kids can play.
I don't think they need all us plodding.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's for the families.
But the other event, you're welcome to barbecue, aren't you?
The barbecue is to introduce the year sixes really to year sevens and get parents to come in, and we show them around the building and let them meet the staff, and that's really for the year sixes to do. But the members of the management committee are welcomed to come to that, because that is something that's good for families to see, you guys.
Yeah, I think it's that we do need to engage with. Right.
I'd also, through you, Chairman, I think we should give a word of thanks to Buckingham Youth Centre for hosting these events, and especially with the cooperation that we've got at the moment with our Ukrainian refugee strategy. I think that it ties in quite well, and I think we should thank them for putting on this night.
I'll declare an interest.
We know everything is down. You're only giving us advice, but you've already declared your interest. It's not a financial, but we know
it's a joke.
Can we just leave the office to communicate that through, because they are already working very closely in the office with this project. So us thanking people for doing things that our offices have supported is a strange one. But I do think that we ought to just send a note to the community centre management committee saying that that's a good idea. Thank you for what you're doing. Andy.
Thank you. I think this is a great idea that the youth club is doing that for the Ukrainian. But I think we should send an invitation or give them all the information about the Fringe. So if they do want to come and see how this town operates, what they do, I'm sure a lot of them would like to just come and be part of it. Just to able to come to the Oxford Fiddle, just to appreciate the music and the small things that will make the town.
I take on board exactly what you said. Are you happy that we do communicate with them, but we look at, if there was a child who is particularly musical or got particularly, we don't know what these children's talents are, that if there was a particular child who needed to fill what they do with stimulus, we'd look at it. Because there can't be anything worse than if you're trapped and you're a musician and something you can't play and stuff like that. But they are really resourceful. I'm privileged enough to meet a family a few weeks ago. I was at a friend's house, and grandmother, mother, and the 3 children there. And I was talking to the oldest one, and she said said, how are you coping? She said, well, I'm still doing my degree.
Oh, nice.
And I said, how are you doing that? She said, I'm doing it online to the Ukraine.
Brilliant.
So she's still doing her degree in this country online in Ukraine. So she's trying to keep her life normal. And that's what I think it's all about, keeping people going.
That's amazing.
Stunning family. But yeah, we'll take that on board. We'll and everything was said a note, and we'll leave that to the officers to deal with. Right, we get on to access. We've discussed it pretty much earlier, didn't we, with the fact that we're going to do that press release. So that didn't happen. And we've discussed news releases, that we're going to have a news release with 3 councils talking about tidy Buckingham. We'll obviously do a news release for Fringe, which is automatic. And the other news release we're going to do, the one round. It'll be in a minute. So we've got 3.
Oh, there's arts and culture.
Arts and culture.
When it gets moving a bit.
We're going to do that to say that we want to get people involved in it. We're going to do that now. One of the things we can do with that arts and cultures press release is we've got all these events coming up through the Fringe, and that's a good time to actually get people to pick up a leaflet and say what they're interested in. It's a way of gathering. Are you a little person who's involved in arts? So just write a note what you want, put it in a bin. We can use that event to gather information. We'll have hundreds of people attending all our events. If we have to organise an event to get those people to attend, it won't happen. And so we'll just put it throughout the Fringe week. And when we get to August, we've got Bandjam, and that's another opportunity to go around and put a piece of paper out and get them to put it in a bin, say what they're interested in. We may get a theme of what the town is looking for, which then helps us when we make a bid towards Section 106 of funding. We've got the community's consent, and that's where I'm thinking with that. In which case, there's no tip the chair items. I've got to thank the committee for their attendance and thank for the contributions tonight and the initiatives which have come from the committee, which have been lots of good things. Which order? We'll go Andy this time.
Oh, thank you. I've looked at the list for all the events that we are having. I think we need to just include the Bulls night in it as well, because although it's a fun evening, and it's I think should be included part of the. Please, thank you.
I'd like to thank Councillor Mahi for all his time as deputy chair of this committee and all the work he's done.
I think that in a minute. He's been chair, he's been deputy chair, and he's never shirked from taking any responsibility in any, and he's also poor man's had to put up with me. Perhaps we should nominate him for the put up the statutory award.
Don't laugh, you've got next year.
One thing that I'll always remember when Andy was chair, and that was when I dragged him around the town at 7 o'clock in the morning. Day the Christmas parade took place, and he complained his feet were cold.
One of the things one of the things that Andy did as chair and vice chair about that he'd turn up with his box, and it was full of biscuits and tins of Coke sometimes. And you know when you're at an event and
Chocolate box, didn't it?
Chocolate. When you like me, quite addicted to chocolate. Somebody turning up with chocolate, it's like Christmas, isn't it? All wrapped into one. Andy comes with the chocolate, and do you know something? And it was lovely in the sense that people would get a bar, and he had it there and let the staff come out without it. And I think he's been a generous soul, and he will be supporting the committee throughout. It sounds sort of whatever. And I thanked Councillor David for saying it. And we don't thank each other enough for what we do in this council, and it's important. It's important. And with that, I'm happy, not going to bang the gavel because I've never done that. Thank the committee and look forward. Next meeting will be on September the 5th. Will we all go back to school?